Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry that we are a little late. We were testing this new system today, so it took a little while for us to clear out the technical difficulties.
Great. So we have a lot of people connected with us now, and it is increasing. So we will wait for a couple of minutes. Although we have registration, which is 1,728 registrations for this webinar, uh, but then the participants are joining very quickly now because of this new because of the new platform that we used this time. It is webinar jam, because I still feel that a lot of people are not interested in using Zoom. So we started using this new platform for the first time on this webinar. So the technical difficulty took about 5-10 minutes in coming live to us. We have today Ankit Goel, who actually have studied a lot on the MSMEs, present position of MSME, the benefits to MSME, the definition of MSME. Ankit, as uh, you may be knowing that he's a chartered accountant, he's a valuer, and he has many other specializations. Mrs. Rakesh Verma has 30 years of experience in handling various MSME in her capacity as a chartered accountant. She's been very actively engaged in arranging funds for MSME at whatever uh, condition the MSME is, uh, maybe stressed or maybe flourishing. All such situations Mrs. Verma has handled. First of all, let me share with you that this is probably that we are connecting with you after 2 months, and the reason has been, first of all, some too much of occupation in the professional work, and the second reason is little stressful because since I traveled out on 18th of August to Raigad, and three of us went to Raigad for one urgent work. After 5 months, I started traveling, and when we came back, all three of us were corona positive. Despite taking all the precautions, I immediately isolated myself to Apollo Hospital. But then gradually we saw that in my family there are nine family members, and all of them got corona positive. So it was stressful. Like many of us were admitted to Apollo Hospital, but then now gradually we are fine. And in case there is any deficiency in this webinar, please excuse us because Ankit is still corona positive and he is still having a fever. When we planned this webinar, it was not anticipated that Ankit's fever will continue to that extent. But today also Ankit has fever and he is having throat infection, and he is still positive, corona positive person. So we both are in our rooms isolating. Although I became corona negative, but still he is positive and also having fever. So maybe there is a little bit of lack in the preparation, but still Ankit and Mrs. Verma has done a wonderful job to bring this new uh, concept. Of course, MSME, everyone talks about. The government is really concerned about MSME. It generates employment. It is also very important for this Indian economy because MSME is needs to be protected. So that is the reason that the definition was changed. That is the reason that the loan disbursement was made easier. That is the reason that the exemption was given under the insolvency law. That is also the reason that the courts are now presently promoting the not a kind of uh, uh, promoting the takeover under SURFACE Act for all these MSME. So with this, I now hand it over to Ankit. And in between Ankit and Mrs. Verma, in between, I would be asking you the questions, which either people will be throwing it to me, or even from my experience, I would like to, because I understand what is the demand of MSME entrepreneurs. So I would be asking questions to you on behalf of MSME entrepreneurs. I have in my career, I have dealt with too many MSME entrepreneurs, so I understand their difficulties. So I would actually be asking questions on their behalf to you. Now, for the time being, over to Ankit, and Ankit can start with the content that he has prepared to share with all of you. Yes, Ankit.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us after such a long time. We have been missing all of you, and maybe some of you have been missing us in action. And it's good to be here. It's a pleasure to be speaking here to all of you using this platform again. MSMEs is a hot topic, and that is what we thought we will discuss, and we will share whatever we know about MSMEs with all of you. I will just share my screen with you. This is, of course, a webinar series, and we are supposed to talk about MSMEs in two parts. We'll be talking about the registration process for MSMEs. We will be talking about the CGTMSE scheme for MSMEs today, and we will be talking about the restructuring and the applicability of insolvency law on MSMEs and other matters in the next webinar that we are scheduled for Tuesday. So quickly sharing the screen, I will now share my screen. Hopefully the screen should be visible to all of you. This is the topic on agenda for us today. We will be going through an overview of the MSME concept. How did it start? Where does it get its legal power from? We'll be talking about the new definition of MSMEs, and we will be also looking forward to the questions that all of the participants might have with respect to the new definition. There might be some queries. There are some confusions that we'll be clearing on the investment criteria, the turnover criteria, how the government is measuring it. We will also talk about registration requirement under Udhyam scheme. What all do you need to have before you start the registration process? I will be sharing the screenshots of all the Udhyam registration pages to talk about the process of the registration, and then we will be talking about the CGTMSE scheme. What are the nitty gritties of the scheme? How do you understand whether your business qualifies for this scheme, this loans under this scheme? We'll briefly talk about the impact of COVID on valuation of MSMEs and the view of the banking sector on MSMEs when they talk about valuation of the businesses or the valuation of assets of SMEs. So, starting with the overview of the concept of MSMEs. MSMEs, the name itself comes from this act called Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act 2006. And it is an act to provide for facilitating the promotion and development. So, this was conceived in 2006. The original idea was twofold. The original idea was one, to reserve certain industries, certain areas of manufacture, certain areas of services exclusively for micro, small, and medium enterprises. There was also a brief period of time when, under this act, certain industries were given, or certain consumers, I would say, were given quotas that they have to this much percentage of the overall services that they avail in a particular category from MSMEs. But of course, later at that time, digitization was minimal, and it was difficult. It was getting difficult to get good service from MSMEs. On this pretext, the government diluted that criteria and opened the sectors and removed the sector-wise quota for MSMEs to do business. Quotas, even otherwise, have not been seen very positively in the industry, and The second thing that MSME Act has given a protection to the enterprises which fall under this definition has been with respect to the timely payment of their dues. So MSME Act overrides many other laws and says that 45 days payments have to be made within 45 days from the date on which your invoice was accepted by the purchaser. And that is a very very important law which is also required to be followed very diligently by companies. They are also supposed to file an MSME form ensuring that they are complying with this act. They're also supposed to not take exemption or not take deduction of the interest that they have to pay to MSMEs. But again, something where I will share later how this has helped and how this has perhaps not so helped MSMEs and creating a independent ground in the competitive world. When you talk about the definition of enterprise in this act, this was at that time understood to be a remarkable definition where it was not only covering manufacturing units, it was also covering service units. So it basically covers manufacturing and services. So it kind of exempts or kind of does not take into account. This act does not keep into its fold the trading the wholesalers or the traders, retail traders, wholesale traders. It doesn't take into account the people who are doing primary work like or agricultural work or animal husbandry work. Those sectors which are not into any manufacturing in those particular sectors, they are not covered under this act as enterprises. New definition of MSMEs. The new definition came in effect from 1st July 2020. Along with the new definition, where of course micro, small, and medium enterprises. Now there's a dual definition of investment in FPNM and investment and having your turnover. For the purpose of turnover, at the present moment, the government is looking at financial year 18-19 because the data for financial year 18-19 is readily available in the income tax returns that assessees or I would say MSMEs have filed in their income tax returns for assessment year 19-20. They're picking up this data. And I believe that once the data for the next year is available, they will start shifting to the next year also. Investment in PNM was earlier, before this change in definition, considered to be the gross investment in the PNM sector. It was not considered to be the net investment. But however, under the Udyam registration, what MSME department or the government has said is that they will be looking at the net depreciated value which is appearing in the income tax returns of the assessee, and that is where they will be seeing this investment in plant and machinery. Of course, you're most welcome to exclude exports of goods and services from the turnover definition, so that you get a competitive advantage in case you're making exports beyond the thresholds that are given here. And you're also supposed to look at the plant and machinery by excluding certain plant and machinery which is especially into pollution control equipment or similar other machineries which are exclusively excluded from the plant and machinery definition. We will talk about that also as we go along. So the prevailing status will remain valid for 1 year. Once you are an MSME, once you qualify under this criteria, you will be it will be available for you. The status will be available for you for an year from the year of change in the category. So supposedly you were having a turnover of less than 250 crores in financial year 18-19, but 19-20 you have crossed the financial year of the 250 crore turnover. And now because you have crossed 250 crore turnover, you may not be eligible to call yourself as an MSME, but the act says or the provisions say that you will continue to hold the MSME status till the end of the year, that is till the end of the financial year 2021, and only after that you will be understood to be a non MSME because of the change in status. Similarly, in case you've shifted your classification from maybe micro to small, maybe small to medium, or vice versa, you will be implementing that change only from the next financial year onwards. Any questions on this new definition of MSME? People are requested to put it in the question box, and we will be able to answer all those questions as well.
So, Ankit, I can ask you a couple of questions on this definition.
Hmm.
One question is that there was a notification in the year 2006 from the Ministry of Industry, and that notification was kind of defining the plant and machinery. And I still remember that the molds, jigs, dies, electrical installations, and the foundations, and the pre-operative expenses, the interest during construction period, everything was excluded in the when
It
we
has
used to
it
calculate the
has
gross
it
block.
has it has changed since then, and I will tell you what all is and what all is required to be valued today to be excluded from the overall plant and machinery value. But the objective of making this simplification and doing adopting this method is to make it readily a single window registration. So earlier, what used to happen was that when you're registering an MSME, there were documents involved. It was not a paperless process. Now, what they've done is that suppose somebody will have an extra plant in, or maybe have some plant and machinery which is showing up as WDV at a WDV value rather than the cost value. So they have now, so rather than not only have they increased the threshold to 50 crores for medium enterprises, effectively what they've done is they've said that we don't need gross values, we only need the net depreciated value which is appearing in your depreciation schedule in the income tax return. So they've made it simple for them to verify this
No, so
automatically.
now, Ankit, in case in the income, okay, in the income tax return, since there is a one broad head of plant and machinery, so because see, under the income tax head, I believe even the vehicles are also classified as plant and machinery.
They will be
Is that so?
classified. They will be classified now
Yeah.
as plant and machinery, and most probably, so they will also be considered by the department as plant and machinery for any business because they're adopting this method now.
So in case somebody has only five lakhs of 1 crore of plant and machinery, but then they have somehow some very huge amount of vehicles which their family runs, so they also would be out of the MSME definition
Yeah, in
because of the
case
various vehicles.
Yes.
is they're falling out of the
Because
investment in plant and machinery because of vehicles, they might have to maybe plan this out and maybe sell a few vehicles to another entity of theirs and then maybe reduce the investment in plant and machinery for the purpose of their balance sheet, for the purpose of their income tax
So
return
even
showing
the
up the same right number.
transporters which are having trucks in their balance sheet, that is also classified as plant and machinery. So they will also have the same definition because everything is now plant and machinery. As per the Income Tax Act, there are only, I believe, there are only five broader heads of assets. One is land, and where there is no depreciation. Then the building, then there is the plant and machinery, and then there is. Uh, I think there are only five broader heads under the
furniture and
Income Tax Act:
fiction.
furniture and fixture, and what else? So this is all the everything
Yeah.
else is now merged into plant and machinery.
Yes, this is how the department has taken an opinion to view this and verify it.
So because this is a verification now,
But at the
whatever
same
income tax
time,
return shows.
at the same time, I would like to put in that earlier the qualification was based on the investment. Now we are not talking about investment. Now we are talking about WDV values, which are far lower as compared to the earlier values. So a lot of people will also benefit by this approach that their WDV investment will be much below the thresholds as compared to their gross investment.
So I believe, like, let us conclude that this has become a yearly exercise now. For example, if someone is today having 45 crores of WDV, and today he is MSME, and in case he goes for another investment of 10 crores, so he then in the next year he goes out of MSME, and after that, in case he charges depreciation for 1.5 year or 2 years, then he will again come back to MSME. So this is a yearly exercise now. Everyone has to be very, very careful in getting them registered under MSME, under Udym scheme every year. Then only your MSME status will continue, and then only you are entitled to MSME benefits. So I think
And
this is clear, Ankit.
also both conditions need to be followed. So I'm reading some questions on my question panel, and some people are asking that what if you have a mixture? Say you are having a turnover of maybe 49 crores, and you're having a plant and machinery investment of only 99 lakhs. So in that case, because you are crossing the turnover which is eligible to be given a micro status, you will be classified as a small category MSME. Because you have 49 crores of turnover, you will be beyond the micro turnover limit. But because your investment continues to be less than 10 crores, you will be in a small business category. So similar examples I can give. So the point is that wherever whichever threshold is something that you're stopping at, and you're meeting both turnover and in plant and machinery thresholds, you will be able to call yourself as that kind of a class, that class of MSME.
Yeah, I think there are some basic questions which are coming on the panel that you are taking up. Otherwise, I think for this point we should go ahead. Yes.
Perfect. Then I will move forward. So the new registration process is called Udyam. Before that, it was called Udyog Aadhaar registration. So Udyog Aadhaar has now Udyam. Whether you go to the Udyog Aadhaar registration or the Udyam registration.gov.in, you will land up at the same page because both the pages have been integrated now. So even if you want to make changes in your Udyog Aadhaar, you will be landing up at udyamregistration.gov.in, and you can also have a window there, or you have a tab there to make changes in your Udyog Aadhaar registration. So basically, we will first be talking about the new registration process for new entrepreneurs who are not registered as MSMEs yet. It is an Aadhaar based registration. We must remember that. So you have to have your Aadhaar number. Whose Aadhaar number? In case of proprietorship concern, the Aadhaar number of the proprietor. If you're a partner, the Aadhaar number of the managing partner. If you're a private limited company, a public limited company, the Aadhaar number of your authorized signatory. An authorized signatory can be a director, may not be a director, but he should be an authorized signatory from the board of the company. So similarly, in case of trust, then a trustee of the trust. So the individual who is authorized, or who's maybe in case of an HUF the karta of the HUF, these are the people who should have a valid Aadhaar with which is of course linked to mobile number, that the OTP can be received by you on your mobile number. Unless and until you have an Aadhaar number which is linked to your mobile phone, you will not be able to use the Udyam registration process, and you will have to get your Aadhaar linked to your mobile number for you to do that. There is no other way you can proceed on the registration on this portal. So what you do, to this page. So this is how this page looks like, where you put in your Aadhaar number, you put in the name of the entrepreneur, the name of the person who is holding this Aadhaar, and then you of course request for an OTP, and that is when the send to your mobile, you enter the OTP, and this next tab comes in. So this PAN verification, so this message will come that your Aadhaar has been verified. You can continue Udyam registration process. This is how this first interface works as. Moving forward, then when we come to PAN verification is also important. Although the system allows you to skip PAN verification, you can say that I don't have PAN yet, and then in that case, you will be allowed to enter all the details on a self-declaration basis. But this PAN will be required in future. The system will warn you and say that you have not entered your PAN, and your registration is valid only and only up to the end of this year, that is 31st March 2021. And after that, your registration will not be valid unless and until you modify your Udyam registration and feed your PAN in the system. So your PAN is also a must. Most organizations who are doing active business do have a PAN. Even if they are sole proprietorships, they belong to their proprietorship, their proprietor. Moving forward, so what you will be doing is you will be putting in the type of your organization. You will have to choose between proprietary, HUF, partnership, cooperative. It's a very simple system to follow. You shouldn't have any hiccups in doing this. Then say no, I don't have a PAN. You will be, of course, you will be able to move forward. If you say that I have a PAN, you will be asked to enter your PAN number. In case your PAN number is already registered in the Udyog Aadhaar database, it will stop you and it will say that you please don't go for a new registration. You should go for a migration from the old registration to the new registration, and it is important that then you process the application as a migration. Moving forward, you will be, of course, when you choose all this, you will be and you will be entering your PAN. Then you will be entering which kind of ITR have you filed. Have you filed the ITR? What was the ITR type? Do you have a GST number? All that will be asked for, so that the Udhyam registration portal goes to the income tax department, goes to the GST department, and verifies the details that it wants to verify and bring to this portal without asking you for this information. So rather than having a system where you put in some information and give any document to the registration system for the verification of data, they have linked the systems in the background, and they simply say that we will automatically check your turnover from your income tax return. Don't need it from you, and we will simply verify it based on the details you have provided us. So it makes things system and streamlined without the need for verification. Then you choose your special social category, your gender. So they've given a list of or a basically grid. How do you choose that you are an OBC business, SC business, T business, or if you're a business where women are basically having a majority share. So in case you have this kind of a percentage share in the ownership of various companies, you can choose to be any of these entities also. And then going forward, you can say that the Udyam registration process, you have to choose enter the name of the enterprise. In some situations it will be a pre-entered name based on the data that is fetched by the system from the back end. Then you add your plant, add your units, you enter the locations of all your plants and locations. You can add up to 10 plants here, 10 units here, and then you can enter your official address of the enterprise. And this takes you through these data fields that are required to be put in. Moving forward, you go through the process of Udhyam registration. You enter your previous EM or EAM registration number. This is especially important. Your EM or UAM migration is not happening. So there, because of some data disconnects, you can refer to your previous numbers and then put them here. You can then put in your date of incorporation, date of commencement. You have to put in your bank
So
details.
Ankit, sir, may I ask you a question at this moment?
Yes, why not?
Uh, Ankit, what about a new unit? Any new unit who has not even filed one income tax return? So the income tax department doesn't have any record of that concern. It's
So
a new concern.
so the moment you say that I have not filed the return, so I think we were talking about this question here. I will just go back here. So here, if you say no, then it will not ask you, or it will say that please self-declare whatever data you have to self-declare and move forward. It will not block you. It will ask you information on a self-declaration basis and let you move forward with the registration.
All right. So in case any person does not have Aadhaar linked with PAN, then can he get it online registered registration or not?
Aadhaar
Because
linked
not
with
many people have Aadhaar linked with PAN.
Aadhaar linked with PAN is not required here at all, because you might be registering your entity, which is a company which has a different PAN,
Hmm.
and your Aadhaar may be belonging to the individual, because a company cannot have an Aadhaar. The Aadhaar is basically the authorized representative's Aadhaar, and the PAN is supposed to be
So
the
it is
PAN of the
basically the
entity.
so
So the
registration is based on PAN, not
So
on
the
Aadhaar.
so the registration is based on both. So what the system is doing is, it is of course checking that you're a genuine person by way of your Aadhaar, where you are a genuine person who has an Aadhaar number, whose phone number is linked, and that's why you are able to feed in the OTP that was sent to your mobile. So that's something that the system is verifying that you are an actual person. You're not a machine doing some random registration, and the PAN is being used to fetch the data from the income tax department's website with respect to your turnover, as well as your plant and machinery investment.
Right, right. All right. Okay. Thank you.
So you do this. You add your enter your official address. Then you enter your previous EM2, UAM. EM2 is basically UAM is Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum, and EM is Entrepreneurs Memorandum. These are earlier registrations that have been issued under the MSME Act, and they are still valid. They will remain valid till 31st March 2021, as per various MSME department and RBI circular. You then enter your bank details, which is your bank name, your IFSC code, and your bank account number, which may be these details may be used by the department in future in case there are any direct benefits that they want to pay to your account. And this is only an information collection, so that any remittance, this is basic details that are required by any person to remit money to you. So you put in all that information. Then you use your majority activity of a service or a manufacturing. So what you're doing is you're choosing whether you are doing more of services or you're doing more of manufacturing. Then you are choosing your national industrial classification code. And national industrial classification code is something that is, it's very very easy to search your NIC out here on this portal. You can simply see this search NIC code in lesser step. So if you put in your keywords of your business, say I am maybe looking at finance, legal activities. So I will put legal and I will see everything which is all NIC codes that have something to do with legal. I can put in maybe paper. I can put in my industry and I will be able to get the closest NIC code that's applicable to me, and it will automatically fit in or feed in that system or that information into these NIC code details. And I can add up to 10 activities. Choose that, yes, I can say that I do multiple activities. I will not be able to, however, put in any NIC code which is belonging to wholesale or retail trade, forestry or lodging, fishing or aquaculture, etc. And this list of NIC codes which are not eligible for registration under Udhyam registration are can be found in this link that I also shared in my PowerPoint in my presentation. Of course, you have to put in then your number of females and male employees working in your organization. In my view, they're not collecting this information for any other purpose, but to see that how many people are employed by MSME sector, which is registered with the Udyam through the Udyam portal, and that should be their objective. I don't see there any other objective of collecting the number of male or female staff. So this is the page where you put in, and then this automatically totals up the details. Then you put in the investment in plant and machinery or equipment is picked automatically. Then you compute manually and enter the plant and machinery investment in pollution control equipment, research and development assets, and industrial safety devices. So these three things they don't they want to exclude from the total plant and machinery investment, and that is how it works. The turnover during financial year 18-19 is automatically picked from the income tax database. In case you have not linked the PAN or you have not feed in the PAN, or you have said that I have not filed my return for 18-19, it will let you manually put in that same as well. Then it will ask you in case you want to automatically get registered in the GEM portal or the trades portal, and it will allow you to do that. Then you do a final submission. You submit finally your generate the final OTP, and your form is submitted. Your registration certificate is not generated immediately. Registration certificate is not generated immediately because the system goes back, checks the PAN database, and then comes back with the confirmation and gives you the right classification as a micro enterprise, small enterprise, or a medium enterprise. So that's basically a gist of the registration process. I will just continue. I think there was minor technical issue at Mrs. Verma's end that I think she will resolve in a small is.
I would, in the meantime, ask a question to you.
Yeah.
See, the question which is coming on the chart panel is that in case of two proprietorship concerns or three proprietorship concerns, one may be engaged in trading, the other may be engaged in manufacturing. How to calculate the investment in plant and machinery? Because both will have the same PAN number, and however, the proprietorship concerns would be different because of their different
So there
line of activity.
the circular from the government is very very clear. It says that they will see one PAN as one business unit, and for multiple sole proprietorships, where the people, the proprietors who are Mrs. Verma, you will have to mute on because I think uh, it's
मिसिज वर्मा,
going
एक एक
on.
एक डिवाइस को म्यूट कर लीजिए आप, एक डिवाइस को. नाउ आई थिंक इट्स ओके.
Should be okay. So,
Yeah, Pardon, we are able to hear you now.
I
We are able to hear you now. Yes.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
so I was
It's okay now.
saying, yeah, it's okay,
Okay.
Mrs. Verma. So I was
Okay.
saying that
Yeah.
the income tax department will give the details of the PAN number, and if that PAN includes multiple businesses, maybe three proprietorship concerns, four proprietorship concerns, it will only fetch in the combined number and give it to the MSME department. The MSME department is also doing one registration for one PAN. So wherever somebody was doing unique businesses in his proprietorship as a proprietor, as proprietary concerns, there they will have to go for a common registration for those multiple entities that writer has. And unfortunately, the system is not designed for multiple registers happening on the same pan.
So, like one concern is manufacturing and one concern is trading. So, what is the solution? They should go
So
for one
there,
registration.
there they should go for one registration. Trading, you anyways cannot get yourself registered as an MSME or Udhyam registration because the MSME Act doesn't include trading as an activity or as an enterprise which can be registered. So what will happen here is that you will register their manufacturing concern, put in the NIC code for the manufacturing activities that they do, and then those activities can be that Udhyam registration can be used by them for the purpose of their manufacturing business.
So, I think because of some of the questions, I may clarify that this MSME registration is also applicable to service providers. The chartered accountants can also register as MSME. The valuation firms can also register as MSME. The consultancy firms can also register as MSME. Is that correct, Ankit?
Yes, yes, absolutely correct. And all services, all manufacturing units can get
Yes.
themselves registered under this portal. Only and only, as I said, as I listed down, only these few cases which have been, of course, been listed down in a document on the Udyam registration as well. These are the only ones excluded. And when you're on the
So
portal,
that means,
also see this banner
yeah.
running which says that these are the NIC codes which will not be entitled to register in the Udyam registration process.
So I think that's fine because see, like there are some questions also saying that the it nowadays the MSME registration does not depend upon capital. It doesn't depend upon capital, and it only depends upon the. It is also not depending upon the production unit. It only depends upon the investment in plant and machinery based on return on value, also turnover, and it will vary from year to year. And it is possible that today you are MSME, tomorrow you are not, or tomorrow you are today you are not MSME, tomorrow you are. So that way, it is a yearly process, and every year the registration updation, is it required, Ankit, mandatory that
No,
every year you will actually have to provide?
registration update is not required, but of course, the point is that there is a facility to update your Udyam registration also that they have already provided. But so far, there is no requirement for everyone to re-register or
So you mean to
report
say
on
that today
changes.
I have today I have 45 crores of WDV, and tomorrow I invest 10 crores. I'm not supposed to go to the Udyan and do updation. And
No,
in case
I
I don't do that updation, I continue to enjoy the
you
MSME
you
status.
you have to update, but your earlier status will remain till the end of the year. And of course, you're supposed to go update because whenever you give your Udyam registration to anyone, which says that you are a particular class of MSME, then you will be making a wrong declaration in case you're not giving them the updated numbers for the next year. So, of course, if there is a status change, then you have to go and update your registration correction and given the fresh details, so that next year your status is shown as the true status that you should be at.
I think that's good. Like everyone is very happy. So there is a question here that today I'm a valuer and I also import machinery. So like valuer can register as MSME, and but the importing machinery and trading it, I don't think it is eligible for MSME. So the status definitely will get changed. You will get updated registration, and you would, as a valuer, you would get the MSME, but not as importer of machines. Yes,
So
Ankit, please
people who are
continue.
doing multiple activities, they will of course have to go ahead and they can complete their PAN-based registration for the for the business that is eligible to be registered, and they will be able to use all MSME facilities for that part of their business. Existing entrepreneurs memorandum, Yogadhar memorandum, obtained up to 36/2020 before the new regime set in, will remain valid till 31st March 21. And of course, you have to visit the same page and you have to click on for those already having registration as EM2 or UAM, and again go through an Aadhaar verification process with OTP, verify your OTP, feed in the details, confirm the details, and then complete the migration process from being an EM2 registered or UAM registered entity to an to an Udyam registered entity, and that is something that you can do. It's fairly easy. The steps will be very similar to what steps were required in a new registration, only that your existing data will also be available, so that you have to feed in lesser data whenever you're doing this migration process. Udyam site has also sent emails for migration of users from the earlier system of EM2 UAMs to the new process. So watch out for those mails. Those mails also have a link for you to go to this site. Even if you don't have the link, you can go to the website and then complete the migration process. This is how it looks like when you go to for already those who are registered as EM2 or UAM, and you put in your Udyog Aadhaar number, you put in your OTP, and then you are able to validate and generate an OTP and move forward in the next process. So I will now maybe ask Mrs. Verma to throw some light on the benefits of MSME registration.
Hmm.
And Mrs. Verma, maybe you can uh, talk
Hmm.
about the various benefits that are
I'll
made
start.
available to MSMEs.
Yeah. Thanks, Ankit, for your very nice presentation on the definition and new definition and the registration of the MSME. And the MSME Act, although came in 2006, but most of the people were not knowing regarding the MSME benefits. I think ever since the Modi government has come, they have given real thrust to the MSME by providing many facilities. Even in the at the time of COVID, now the whatever benefit was given, that is maximum to the MSME MSME unit, because MSME is the main thrust and main industrial growth for the, and the maximum benefit this employment being given by the MSME. So this I'll just say in the few benefits of the MSME registration is you get the collateral free borrowings, like one scheme for CG, which is called CGTMSE scheme, that is for micro and the small, which I will take up in some detail in the after some time. And then there is a subsidized loan from the bank with a low rate of interest, and you get the subsidy on the patent registration, then industrial promotion subsidy, and then you get the technical technology upgradation link subsidy. And then one of the major problem with MSME is that very short the working capital, and when they supplies to the other units, the payments get delayed, which is by the MSME Act. That is very important because is provided within the payment has to be made. Even even you they give an agreement for the longer tenure, large, that will not apply. It will apply only for we get it. If they don't give the payment in 5 days, the MSME is allowed to the interest, which is 350 normal banking.
They have to file in the ROC also in along with their balance sheets that how many the payment delayed of the for the MSME. So this is one of the major protection given by the MSME Act for getting the liquidity in the system within 45 days. Then you get the concession in the electricity bill, and there are certain licenses, approval, and registration. You get the benefit in that, and in foreign exhibitions, because your lack of small units are lack of the funds, they give the reimbursement of the charges in the MSME. So now we come to the loan which in under CGTMSE scheme one can get from the banks and the various MLI, these non NBFCs, and there are members lending institution, which is a great list. In from them you can get the this collateral free loan. Collateral free loan. This is a hassle free because small units.
Mrs. Verma, there is some issue. There is some issue in your voice. Your voice is it is coming, but it is low, and some people are writing that it is not really very clear.
From where this the it's guaranteed fund which you can the small units can get, and I'll just give the Ankit, you have a slide for that amount and how much you get the coverage. Hello. Ankit?
I will just share that. I will just share that.
But Mrs. Verma, can you improve your voice? Can you hear me, Mrs. Verma?
Regarding the extent guarantee,
no, Mrs. Verma, can you hear? Mrs. Verma, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I think she is not able to hear us. Though, so I think the system which probably she was working on 2 devices. So maybe that she was using.
I think is not working now. So that's the problem. Anyways, I will share this with her.
Just hello. Am I audible now?
See, actually, very, very low. Your voice is very, very low, and I think you are also not able to hear us. I think much better. Now it is much better.
No, I can hear it. Much better.
Now it is much better.
It is better now, and I think you were talking about this chart, Mrs. Verma.
I was talking about this chart regarding.
And then I think you should keep your mic closer to your mouth. It was good when you actually held that mic in your because I think whatever is like I am doing. If you see me, yeah, like I am doing, that will be like I am also keeping this cable closer to my mouth. That will actually help you. I think this is better. I'm not sure whether you are using this mic or you are using some different mic, but it is not showing much difference.
One thing.
Okay.
It will come now.
Yeah, it's better now.
It is better now.
Only wait for one moment.
Am I audible now?
But it is audible, but then there is an echo now because both the systems are working.
So you will have to
Now
mute
both
Okay,
the
one
just
devices are
system.
working
Just
together
mute.
in an
Just
echo, so
mute
you
one
actually have
system.
to just mute
one
one
second.
system.
I've muted one. Now it's okay.
Absolutely fine.
It's fine now.
Very fine. Very good.
Yeah. Okay. Acha, we were talking about the CGTMSE scheme. CGTMSE scheme is
I
that
mean,
this is applicable to small and micro units.
just
You
mute.
can hello.
Just mute one system, Mrs. Verma. It's still echoing. So you'll have to mute
Okay,
one system.
just a minute. It's okay now. I have muted one.
Yeah, perfectly okay now.
Am I
Yes.
audible?
Yes. Yes.
Perfectly
Okay.
audible and
Can
perfectly.
you hear
So
us?
I'll continue now.
Can you hear us?
I can. Yes. Okay.
All right. Then it is better. It
Acha,
is better now.
Okay, I'll start. This is CGTMS is loan without the collateral security, and this is micro and the small units can avail this facility from the MLI, from the banks and the other members of this MLI, NBFCs and this cooperative banks and all banks. One can apply for this uh, limit loan, and that is the maximum amount which is permissible under this CGTMS is a 2 crore. And then in case this if you go through this chart in this maximum it is a guaranteed covered loan, and the guarantee is specified in this table that up to 5 lakh 85% amount of the in case of default is the amount is covered under this scheme. And for above 5 to 50 lakh, the amount is specified in the different categories, like 75% of amount in default subject to maximum 37.5 lakh. And from 50 lakh to 200 lakhs, it is 75% of the amount in default subject to, it depends, suppose some problem comes and the account goes into the bad, then the amount recoverable from the under CGTMS by the MLI is 75% of the total amount granted to them. And in case of the, it is one category, in case of women entrepreneurs unit linked in the north east region of India, this amount for 5 lakh and up to 50 lakh is the 80% of the amount in default. And regarding the other categories, it is 75% of the defaulted amount of this. Now we will, can you come to the next slide?
Yeah.
You have? I'll give some amount, like in this particular scheme, you don't need to give any third party guarantor because third party guarantee in this scheme. And the amount of 2 crore is available only to one person, even if he has a 2 companies, it will be available overall limit of 2 crores in this. And account covered in this particular scheme is you can avail as a term loan, as a working capital, and as a non-fund facility like bank guarantees or else. The total amount, the total should be 2 crore. And in case anything is not connected with the business, like for the unit, that amount will not be covered in this particular facility. And in that case, the unit will become ineligible in CGTMS coverage. And second, one more thing is this: in when you get the loan under CGTMSE scheme loan, this you cannot avail for the payment of the earlier loans. You have to use for the business activity only, and it should be the end use should be for the business purpose only. And like the limit is for the 2 crores. Suppose you have paid about some amount in next 2 to 3 years, then you can again get the same amount. Like suppose you have paid 50 lakh rupees in the 3 years, you can again in the third year you can apply if your requirement of the business. The bankers or the MLI will give you the limit up to the 2 crore. Uh, and this
So,
amount
Mrs.
is
Verma, there
for
is a
the
question which
maximum
is
10.
coming.
Yeah. Yes.
Mrs. Verma, there is a question which is coming,
Yes.
and
Yes.
this is a question
Yes.
which is a very valid question. Even I have also experienced this.
Yes.
The question is,
Yeah.
the most banks are not really very keen to provide this kind of loan. So, what is the
Uh-huh.
remedy in case
I'll
I
tell
am
you.
MSME and I am
Uh,
not getting any response from the banks? Then what should I do?
uh,
Is there any body where we can actually go and approach them that we are not getting any response from the bank? Because banks will never say no, but they
you
will
see,
keep sitting on proposal.
I'll tell you why. Actually, the main I'm sharing the practical experience. But the bankers basically wants that if you have a if it is in the rented premises, then they don't go. If it is a your own premises, they gladly gives the loan under CGTMSE scheme. Even suppose you are applying for 10 crore, 2 crore loan, and you have a land and building, say about 40 lakh, 50 lakh, they will cover it with the project financing and then they will provide you. Yes, in case of this micro and small for CGTMSE, banks are reserved, but if you have a own land and building, then they don't.
So that means actual entrepreneur
One
who
can
actually
only go
would
to the
like to, one can actually, one would like to, because if somebody is richer enough that he has all these good assets, then he may not need the loan also. Because if we are only talking about the genuine entrepreneur who may have an experience of doing some business while he was doing job, and he would like to go and start this business by taking this loan of CGT MSC, but the banks are not really very
So
sure.
I
So
had
while
a
CGTMSE.
while
Yes.
you
I had a discussion with a senior
while answer
banker.
this, I would also like to clarify here because of the questions that the PPT will be shared with
Yeah.
you all, and
Mm,
maybe that we have the facility in this.
mm,
We have a facility in this
yeah.
particular platform
We
that
will
we
we
can
will
share the
we will
PPT and
share
it will reach everyone.
we will
We will
share
share.
this recording as well as the PPT with
Yeah.
everyone by mail. What I was trying to say, or what I was adding, was that
Mm,
the way this is structured is, if there is a default on part of the borrower under CGTMSE
got
loans, what happens is
yeah.
that the banks don't get any guarantee money from the trust in case the NPA has happened within
Mm.
3 months of the sanction. That's a very, very interesting
3 months,
criteria.
yeah. 3 months of
So
sanction. That
the
is a very
bank
interesting, yeah.
so the banks are clear that the business that they are lending this money to should be a real, sustainable, active
Mm.
business. It should not be a
Yes.
sham business where
Mm.
you just have an NPA,
Mm.
you give this money to somebody and the money disappears and then nobody comes back. So that is a problem. That's why this
Mm.
policy proposal is often given stage wise, where at first you
No,
will see,
but, yeah.
but there
Yes.
are ways around it. So in case
They
there is
give
an
the stage wise. If the unit is already running and its a performance is good, they give the
It totally depends on
enhancement in this
the
scheme. Yeah.
performance, totally depends on the revenue that the unit is already
Yes.
generating, the profits that they are
Performance.
already
Yeah.
generating, what is the additional actual
Yes.
debt that is there on
Yeah.
the date of the application. So yes,
Yes.
a new business which
Yeah.
is just starting out may not be able to get the full 2 crore rupees, but if you are able to showcase to the
They will.
bank that yes, you have this skin in the game,
Yes.
have some skin in the game, then they will be able to
Yeah.
assist you. Number two,
They will be
the
able.
why banks are
Yes.
shying away from
Mm.
CGTMSC loans is that the banks have to have a cooling
Mm.
period of 18 months before they get this money back. So for 18 months, the bank has to
Mm.
show efforts that
Mm.
they have made efforts to recover the
Effort.
loan that was granted to any MSME. And only after
Granted.
18 months
Yeah.
of showing that effort, if the bank is able to say that, yes, I have
Mm.
made all efforts, I've still not got any money back, they
Yeah.
are given
Mhm.
75% of the money due under the trust within 18 months, after 18,
Hmm. Wait,
and the balance
after 18 months. Yeah.
25% is given by the trust, by the central government trust, to
Hmm.
the banks only after the closure or after determination that no further
Hmm.
money is recoverable from this business. So
Hmm.
because of these conditions, some banks may shy away from giving this kind of a loan,
Yeah.
as it may cause loss to the bank in future. But yes, that's why the due diligence that a business is good enough to be given a loan under this scheme is required to be proven
Hmm.
to the bank, and that is the presentation that I think Mrs. Verma and I keep making before banks,
Hmm.
that this business is worthy
Hmm.
for this loan,
Worthy.
and it should be given this loan, which is a collateral free loan for the expansion of the business.
So that you mean that
Yes.
this the business has to be viable, it has to be presented
Business
well,
has.
and the application has to
Yes.
be made in a manner that the bank is convinced. But tell me one
Yes.
thing: that is it also obligatory to private banks, or it is only obligatory to public sector bank to give this
It
kind
is.
of
It
loan?
is. It's obligatory to all
I don't
So
banks
think
that
there
means
is.
and
even
MLI. But
I
I
won't
think
say there is
I'll
any.
share the
I
that
won't
list of
say.
MLI.
I won't say there's an obligation, but yes, I know for a matter of fact that some private sector banks have put in their own extra conditions for grant of approval under CGTMSE. Like some banks will ask for an 5 year of past record, good
Yeah.
performance of the business. Like these are extra
so.
conditions
Do
that
we
have
do
been
we
put in
have a
some private
do we
banks.
have a list of member lending institutes because who have actually entered into an
Yeah. I.
agreement with the
Yes. I will
CGTMSE?
share that in this regard. Yes.
Because
We
see
can
that
we can
particular
sh-
members
Yes.
we
lending
can
is
Yes. We
we
have
can
a.
share that list with all the participants of
We
today's
can share
webinar.
that
Not a
list with
problem.
the. Yes.
That will
yes.
Yeah.
include, of course, all the scheduled banks, and that will include some NBFCs also. That is what the MLIs include.
MDFC also. Yes.
Yes, please go ahead, Mr. Verma.
Uh,
So I think I think
thing
we should
is that
briefly, Mrs. Verma, will you like to add something to the CGTMSE scheme or any other benefits for MSMEs? If not, then we will
hmm,
move to valuation. We will briefly discuss the impact on valuation for MSMEs, and of course, we will talk
see,
about, yeah, that.
we may move to valuation because, yes, yeah,
Okay.
we move to the valuation regarding this other financing for the MSME, like in the COVID, that GECL and other things that we will be discussing in the next our on Tuesday webinar.
Yeah, of course, we will do that then. So, I will quickly
Yes,
talk
yes,
about the valuation of MSMEs and how that has taken a hit. If we look at the stock market scenario, stock market performance, the stock market is extremely is not rewarding the small cap stocks or the medium cap
hmm,
stocks. It is only rewarding the large cap stocks, primarily because when the investor, when the market sees a company, they see the smaller entities and the medium level entities to be at a higher risk due to COVID, higher risk of their business shutting down, higher risk of they not being able to sustain this difficult time, and that is what is factored in the thought processes of everyone's mind. Even if we talk about the valuer's point of view, when a valuer is looking at a business, of course it matters that which industry does the business belong to. If one belongs to an industry which is not hit by COVID at all, and where there is active demand and there is still a lot of revenue coming in, or normal revenue coming in, then of course the valuer will look at that industry and will look at the
So Ankit, uh, your
voice.
internet connection is, I think, a little unstable, and you are freezed. While you get yourself rectified, I would also like to clarify certain things, like the as far as the startups and MSME status are concerned, these are two completely different statuses. The startup is a different status as per the government norms, and MSME is a different status. So there is nothing common in these two. Startup can be a large scale industry also, and a startup can be a MSME also. But startup is something different, and MSME is different. The benefits of being startup and benefits of being MSME is different. See, when Ankit started talking about the valuations, I would also like to share that the valuations that we are getting it done under SURFACI Act, and as you know that we are doing we are resolution agents and enforcement agents under SURFACI Act for most of the banks in India, and the banks have given us more than 27,000 SURFACI cases. So when we are getting the valuations done, the valuers have started factoring in the impact of COVID in all the valuations. The banks are insisting that the impact of COVID should be separately mentioned, because the banks would also like to later on understand and take a decision whether they would like to sell the property with COVID impact, or they would not. They would wait for the market to revive, and then at that time they will remove the COVID impact and use the valuation report again. Similarly, under the insolvency law, the banks and the committee of creditors have started asking that the valuation should be done, and if there is any COVID impact on this particular company or asset, then it should be separately shown in the valuation report, and the basis on which it is the discount factors are applied, that also should be shown. It should be discussed properly why this industry would be, or why this asset would be adversely impacted out of COVID-19 lockdown kind of situations and pandemic. However, the banks again would say that as this the impact of COVID should be separately disclosed in the valuation reports. They would like to use that particular factor or not. They will depend. They will use at the time of sale of the asset or the corporate debtor. However, the COVID impact presently is restricted to the lack of will, the absence of willpower, absence of will to take risk, and will to sit on the cash for little longer period and wait for the market. I have also seen, because we under the insolvency, under the liquidation cases, we uh, introduced a new kind of English auctions, where we have seen that a lot of interest has actually been created. Unprecedented people participated, and they deposited EMD, and the e-auction went into multiple rounds, and the price achieved was much better than even the last 2 years. So there are examples when we actually market the asset well, when we provide the documents, when we do the due diligence, that helps. And it is very, very important that anyone who is sitting on the money, he has to be approached. That's what the valuation impact is there under SURFACI and valuation, SURFACI and the IBC. Now over to Ankit. So what exactly you wanted to discuss about the impact on valuation? That please go ahead.
So I was saying that we have also as value got some requests from insolvency professionals to give a review or give a view on the discount that might be applicable on in some IBC matters. And there we have rather responded with clarity and very clearly that because CIRP, IBC per se, requires a valuation to be done as on the CIRP date, and it doesn't allow the date to be changed, the valuation will remain the same as on the CIRP date, and I'm not supposed to factor in the subsequent events. And Mr. Goel will agree with me that when we talk about subsequent events, maybe events like COVID, which might have damaged the valuation, there are provisions in IBC in the liquidation rules which allow bankers, or I would say stakeholders, to take a call, and the liquidator to take a call and reduce the reserve price after one failed auction. And once that is allowed, then you can reduce the price in case you want to go ahead and sell the asset at a discounted price. Number two, even if you're talking about a CRP process, the COC can always try and convince the NCLT in case they want to accept a resolution plan, which is offering less than the liquidation value as on the CRP date, talking about or pointing out to the reduction or possible reduction in the value of the assets. Coming back to MSMEs, when we talk about MSMEs, when we talk about fresh disbursements of loan, today, of course, if somebody has the advantage, some borrower has an advantage in going to the bank and saying that yes, this collateral property, which is owned by me, has a significant value, and I need a further disbursement of loan towards the same property. In that case, it makes sense to arrange a valuer. Of course, maybe there will be what is required is to do some kind of a coordination with the valuer. But valuers are available. Valuers are still ready to do the job. Although in some situations, some cases, the valuers are not available, and that's where the banks are also taking a step by allowing for some disbursements to happen without a valuation report. So this way, I believe yes, valuations are impacted in this time, but it will totally depend on the industry. As Mr. Goel said, that an English auction process has been extremely successful in many cases where the assets were being sold, and these were assets which were belonging to, of course, different industries. If today somebody tells me that okay, you have to value this restaurant post COVID era, maybe I will have to factor in a discount and provide for the thought process that that restaurant will have only maybe 25% to 40% capacity utilization for the next 1.5 years, 2 years. And that will certainly impact the valuation of that restaurant per se. Therefore, it totally depends on the industry that we're talking about and nothing else. I think I have a few questions. I think we've already said that startup registration and MSME registrations are separate registration processes. If you are entitled to be both a startup and an MSME, you are eligible to get both the registrations and take benefits under the schemes available to either of the two. Then we have Mrs. Verma, maybe you can answer this
Yes.
question, that what is the average
Yes.
interest rate for MSME loans that the bank is able to offer? Of course, NBFCs have a higher interest rate, but banks will have
Yes.
a lower interest rate as compared to NBFCs. So, what is the active interest rates or average interest rates you have seen MSME loans under CGTMSE?
MSME loans normally in CGTMSE you get it for something like 9 to 9.5 from the this nationalized bank PSU.
Sounds good. I think I can
Yeah.
ask other participants to throw in their questions, and we can take in a few more questions while we have the time.
So we have taken up most of the questions along, and we can only say that in the next webinar, which is on Tuesday, that actually would be more
On the
towards the financing options with MSME, and that would be on the very very recent circular of RBI for restructuring. That will also be covering the what are the exemptions now available to MSME under
and
Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. So that all we would be discussing in the next webinar, which is on Tuesday at the same time, which
Tuesday.
is 5 p.m. I would also like to say that now I'm coming up with a series of webinars on personal insolvencies, which is presently restricted to guarantors only, who have given guarantee to any of the loan given to corporates, and that would be also very very interesting for all the chartered accountants, professionals, company secretaries, lawyers, and also the insolvency professionals. and most important would be for anyone who have given guarantee and his life is totally ruined, his financial status is completely shown as defaulting, and he's not able to restart his life. So there is a great opening available for all those who have given personal guarantees and are now under stress. So that a series I would be starting. uh, so I think with this we can convey our thanks to all the participants. The time is also up. Or
We will
Ankit,
just
you in case you have
we
anything, or
can just
Mrs.
take.
Agarwal, in Mrs. Yeah, please.
I'll just complete a few questions. Ajay Chawla ji is asking a question, and I think, sir, that you're asking that what about companies as investment? So, when we talk about MSMEs, it also includes
Company.
enterprises where they are having a constitution of a company. So, companies having investments up to 1 crore, turnover up to 5 crores, will be micro enterprises as per the definition we just discussed, and that should be okay. The link for the MSME webinar dated 15th September will be shared with all of you on the email the way you got this link, and it should be available with you. We will also, of course, be emailing the link to the video recording for this webinar, and it should not be a problem. It should be automatically available to all of you. Uh, we will, apart from that,
एक फिर निकल गया.
so, Mrs. Verma, anything that you would like to add at this point in time before we end the session?
She is again disconnected from one of the device. I
Oh,
think we need to conclude because she's
okay.
not able to hear us.
Not a problem. So I will let's conclude, and we will see all of you on 15th with the other part of the webinar series. We are also conducting a webinar on 17th on caveats, disclaimers, and we will also hand out that banner and share it with everyone tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
participants. It is
everyone. Thank
again
you.
our pleasure to be connected with you. And as we say that there is no other objective, and
Hmm?
this is the way, this is the way of our learning, and we do it only because of our learning. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Hmm?
everyone.